Yin, let me go. I'll complain about you to the principal. Your voice was firm, but your eyes betrayed your frustration. You glared at him, your teeth clenched tightly, trying to hide the slight shake of your hands. Jungkook, as usual, seemed unbothered. He leaned back in his chair, a mocking laugh escaping his lips. His expression was a mix of tease and mock. Jungkook, don't you say that every time, princess? Go ahead. I don't care. His voice was low and taunting, the nickname rolling off his tongue smoothly. The smirk that played on his lips only deepened as he watched your reaction. You clenched your jaw tighter, your fists curling slightly on your lap, feeling a wave of defeat as his dark, piercing eyes stayed locked on you. His gaze made your heart race, even though you hated to admit it. You were used to his teasing and the nickname, but your face still betrayed you, growing redder each time he leaned in and spoke in that low, sweet tone. You both sat in detention, the quiet classroom empty except for the two of you, all because of him. He hadn't done his assignment, and to make things worse, he'd hidden yours, ensuring you'd both end up here together. You'd initially tried to avoid him, sitting at the back corner of the classroom, but Jungkook had other plans. Now, you were sitting beside him, your knees brushing against his body leaned toward you, his head resting lazily on his palm as he stared. His gaze felt heavy, like he could see right through you. Every time you shifted, trying to create even the smallest gap between you, he would close it again, leaving you trapped in his orbit. Suddenly, his voice broke the silence. Jungkook, how can someone be this beautiful? Your heart skipped a beat, and you blinked in surprise. His tone was soft, almost genuine, and it caught you off guard. His eyes roamed your face, studying every feature. Jungkook, just look at those eyes, that nose, your jawline. His words felt like a caress, making your cheeks burn hotter. You opened your mouth to respond, but before you could speak, he leaned in even closer. His hand reached out, his thumb lightly brushing against your lips. Jungkook, and these lips. His voice dropped lower, his thumb tracing your bottom lip with intense slowness. The warmth of his touch sent a shiver down your spine, and your breath hitched. You tried to pull back, but the desk behind you left little room to escape. You swatted his hand away, your glare sharp. Yin, shut up, Jungkook. You know that's not going to work on me. You tried to sound confident, but your voice wavered slightly, betraying the effect his presence had on you. He chuckled, his smirk never fading. Jungkook, don't wear lipstick. Your brows furrowed in confusion. Yin, excuse me? He smirked, his fingers already reaching for your lips again. His thumb gently wiped at the tint. Jungkook, your lips are naturally beautiful. You don't need this. His words were a quiet murmur, but they sent your heart racing. You leaned back instinctively, trying to put some distance between you. Yin, Jungkook, stop it. But he wasn't done. His hand slipped behind your neck, his grip firm but not forceful, pulling you closer until your faces were mere inches apart. Your hand shot out, landing on his thigh for support. Jungkook, just let me see. His thumb resumed its slow, deliberate path across your lips, wiping away the color with a gentleness, his teasing smirk never leaving his face. The air between you was thick with tension, his hand on your neck, your hand on his thigh, his thumb lingering on your lips. It was all too much. Your heart pounded loudly, each beat echoing in your ears. You couldn't take it anymore. With a sudden burst of energy, you pushed him away, your palms pressing against his chest as you stood up. Your glare was fierce, but your breathing was unsteady, and you could still feel the ghost of his touch on your skin. Yin, what's wrong with you? Huh? He leaned back in his chair, completely unbothered, his smirk growing wider. His eyes sparkled with mischief as he tilted his head, his voice dripping with mock innocence. Jungkook, what's wrong, princess? You scared of a little fun. Your throat tightened, and you quickly glanced at the clock. Only 3 minutes left, but it felt like an eternity. You couldn't take it anymore. Grabbing your bag, you bolted toward the door, not daring to look back. His laughter followed you, light and teasing, but then his voice rang out louder, echoing down the empty classroom. Jungkook, run all you want, princess, but you'll still dream about me tonight. You didn't stop until you were far from the classroom, your heart racing not just from running, but from him. His words, his touch, they lingered, leaving you breathless and confused. It was another day, and luckily, it was Sunday. Your morning had started on a low note. The familiar ache in your abdomen confirmed that your period had arrived. You cursed under your breath, clutching your stomach as waves of cramps shot through your body. At least you were home, which meant you didn't have to endure this in college. However, your relief was short-lived. You searched through your bathroom cabinet, only to find you only had one sanitary pad left. Groaning, you wore that, threw on a hoodie and your sneakers, and thought of stepping outside to buy some and enjoy the chilly weather. With your hood pulled tightly over your head, you stepped out, hoping to find a nearby pharmacy open. After wandering the streets for nearly half an hour, you finally stumbled upon a small, dimly lit medical store. You finally let out a sigh of relief when you saw your preferred brand of pads neatly stacked on a shelf. You made your purchase and stepped back out into the cold. The packet of pads felt heavier than it should in your hand. The thought of booking a cab crossed your mind, but you quickly dismissed it. Saving money was a priority, and the walk would do you some good, or so you convinced yourself. The streets were quiet, with only the occasional sound of a car in the distance. You held the bag of pad close to your chest, swaying a little as you walked. Even with the cramps, the cold breeze and the sound of your footsteps brought a surprising sense of calm, until your eyes landed on a familiar figure walking at a distance along the path you had to cross. Your breath hitched. Yin, no way. Is that Jungkook? Your heart rate spiked as you squinted your eyes to get a better look. Sure enough, there he was, standing tall in his usual effortless style, helping an older woman, who you recognized as his mother, into a sleek black car. Yin, of all the people I could run into today, why him? Panic surged through you as you quickly raised the plastic bag to shield your face, but still peeked to look at him. You instinctively ducked behind a nearby tree, your mind racing. You pressed your back against the rough bark, clutching the plastic bag tightly against your chest. Yin, please don't see me. Please don't see me, you whispered under your breath. You muttered, peeking out cautiously to check if he was leaving. But fate wasn't on your side. Just as Jungkook shut the car door and took a step back, his eyes unconsciously scanned the area and landed directly on you. You froze mid-peak, your heart pounding in your chest. Everything seemed to slow down as his neutral expression turned into slight surprise, then quickly shifted to a slow, teasing smirk. His eyes lit up with excitement, and he tilted his head, clearly enjoying your poor attempt to hide. Your mind raced. You watched in horror as he leaned down, said something to his mother, and then gestured to the driver. The car pulled away, leaving Jungkook standing alone on the sidewalk, his gaze still fixed on you. Yin, no, no, no. Without thinking, you turned on your heel and darted into the nearby mall, clutching the bag tightly against your chest. Your heart pounded in your ears as you rushed through the crowd, trying to put as much distance as possible between you and him. Behind you, Jungkook chuckled, shaking his head as he began to follow at a relaxed pace. Jungkook, she's fast, he muttered, biting his lip. His excitement only grew as he spotted you slipping behind a pillar, your head peeking out every few seconds. Jungkook, and so cute, he whispered, more to himself than anyone else. He adjusted his pace, walking into the mall with his hands casually in his pockets. His long steps brought him closer to you, quickly, but he moved quietly, not wanting to be noticed by you. Meanwhile, you peeked out from behind the pillar, scanning the street to see if his car had left. Relief washed over you for a moment, until your eyes caught movement inside the mall. Your heart dropped. There he was, walking confidently through the crowd, his eyes searching the area like a predator looking for its prey. Yin, oh, come on, Hat, the hell, is he seriously looking for me? You stomped your foot in frustration and took off again, darting deeper into the mall, in search of a better hiding spot. Jungkook's smirk grew wider as he saw you dart into a quieter section of the mall. He slowed his pace, enjoying the little game of cat and mouse. Jungkook, you really think you can get away, princess? He murmured under his breath, shaking his head in amusement. You finally found what seemed like a safe spot, an empty gaming stall that had been shut for maintenance. Crouching low, you pressed your back against the wall, clutching the bag tightly to your chest. Your breathing was uneven, your heart racing as you crossed your fingers. Yin, please let him give up. Please let him go home. On the other side, Jungkook had come to a stop at a distance, leaning casually against a nearby pillar. His sharp eyes had already found you. But instead of approaching immediately, he stayed still, observing you. His gaze softened as he took in the sight of you. Your face slightly flushed from running, your breathing uneven. There was a certain innocence in the way you clung to the bag. Your brows furrowed as you peeked cautiously around the stall. Jungkook, she's way too adorable. A smirk tugged at his lips as he bit down lightly, suppressing a chuckle. His mind raced with playful scenarios, ways to tease you, ways to make you flustered even more. But then his eyes drifted to the details of the bag you were holding so tightly. It was black, crumbled slightly from your grip, but the distinct logo peeked out from the side. Realization hit him almost immediately. They were sanitary pads. His smirk faded, replaced by a gentle frown. You were running around, already uncomfortable and in pain, and here he was, making you suffer even more. Jungkook. Shit, she shouldn't be running like this. Here, you cautiously peeked out from behind the stall, scanning the area. The coast seemed clear. For a moment, you allowed yourself to relax, and then, Jungkook. Hiding from me, princess? You screamed, spinning around to see him standing mere inches away, a playful grin on his face. His presence was overwhelming, and before you could react, he moved swiftly. One hand covered your mouth to muffle your scream, while the other sneaked around your waist, pulling you close. Jungkook. Shh, calm down, he whispered, his voice low and teasing. I'm not going to eat you. Your eyes were wide with shock, your body frozen in place as his warmth seeped through your layers of clothing. The hand on your waist tightened slightly, grounding you in the moment. Jung, Jungkook, you mumbled against his hand, your voice barely audible. A wave of sensation washed over him as your lips brushed his palm. He inhaled sharply, biting his lip to suppress the overwhelming feeling. There was no one around, just the two of you, and that made the moment feel more intimate. Jungkook, were you hiding from me? His voice was low and teasing. He gently removed his hand from your mouth, his fingers lingering for a moment longer before they found their way back to your waist. His touch was possessive, holding you close to him as though he couldn't bear to let you slip away. No, I wasn't hiding. I was just, you stammered, struggling to find the right words, your heart racing in your chest. You tried to pull away from his grip, but it was useless. His hold on you was tight, and there was no way out. Jungkook. Oh, so bad. I caught you, right? His voice took on a teasing lilt, and he couldn't hide the amusement in his eyes. His smirk deepened. You closed your eyes in defeat, knowing what was about to come. He rubbed gentle circles on your waist, the touch oddly soothing. Jungkook, want me to let you go? His voice was soft, almost coaxing. You nodded desperately, your eyes wide and pleading. But before you could say anything more, Jungkook's voice was back to teasing. Jungkook, then you should do what I say, right? Because I caught you. The words were daring. He wasn't just asking, he was demanding. What do you mean? You frowned, confused, but a feeling of unease settled in your stomach as he leaned in closer. Jungkook, let's make out. His voice was shameless, bold, as if there was no hesitation, no fear of rejection. You blinked, your mouth opening in shock, your eyes widened, and you immediately tried to push him away, wriggling in his grip. Leave me alone, you idiot. How dare you ask me that? I'd rather die. You tried to wiggle away, but he wouldn't budge. His grip was strong, and despite your protests, you could feel the heat building between you both. His smirk only grew wider. Jungkook, you know I won't let you go. Stop wiggling. Your anger bubbled up, and in a moment of frustration, you leaned forward and bit into his shoulder, hard. Jungkook winced slightly, but to your surprise, he smiled, proud of your boldness. Jungkook, yes, just like that, but next time, aim for my lips. Your face flushed deep crimson, and you instinctively pulled away, horrified at your own actions. But Jungkook wasn't about to let the moment slip away so easily. He leaned in, his eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Jungkook, well, I'm doing this for your own good. His voice was low, almost teasing, as he took another step forward, his face inches from yours. Do you think I'm an idiot? You shot back, a mix of anger and disbelief in your tone. Jungkook, well, I've heard that if you kiss someone during your period, your body feels relaxed. There was sarcasm in his voice, but there was something in his eyes that told you he wasn't entirely joking. Your stomach flipped, and your eyes widened as you stared at him in disbelief. You're making that up. And how do you even know I'm on my period? Your voice was shaky, embarrassment rushing through you. Your hand instinctively gripped the packet of pads tighter. Jungkook's eyes shifted downward, his gaze flicking to the bag clutched in your hand. His expression softened slightly as he tilted his head in mock confusion. Jungkook, isn't it obvious? You're running around with a packet of pads in your hands. You quickly tried to hide the packet behind you, your embarrassment reaching new heights as you muttered under your breath. Jungkook, leave me alone. I'm fine, and there's no such thing as that. Jungkook simply smiled, a playful pout on his lips as he stepped closer. Jungkook, well, I can give you a demo. He leaned in, his lips hovering dangerously close to yours, and before you could protest, he placed a soft, lingering kiss on your cheek. Your breath hitched, your eyes fluttering shut at the unexpected warmth. For a moment, you felt something you hadn't expected, something deep and comforting. It wasn't just the kiss, it was the sensation that followed, like warmth spreading through your chest and easing the tightness in your body. Yin, Jungkook. No, what if someone sees? We're in public. You whispered, your voice trembling as you pushed yourself back, only for him to follow, determined to keep you close. He smirked, his lips brushing against your other cheek, and this time, the kiss lingered, his lips leaving wets on your cheekbone. You couldn't help but close your eyes, the sensation too much to ignore. Jungkook. Well, isn't that exciting? His kisses moved from your cheek to your temple, each kiss deeper than the last, as if he was savoring every second. He kissed your forehead, then both eyes, your cheekbones, each touch leaving a lingering warmth that made you forget where you were. He took his time, enjoying the feel of your skin beneath his lips, the sensation of your body so close to his. Finally, his lips found the tip of your nose, and he paused there, his lips brushing lightly against your nose as he spoke softly. Jungkook, how do you feel? Yin, relaxed. The words slipped out without thought, and as you exhaled slowly, you realized how much tension had melted away. Jungkook's heart raced, his hands trembling slightly as he leaned in closer, his lips hovering just a breath away from yours. Jungkook, told you. So, can we kiss? He wasn't sure if you would say yes, but he needed to ask. Yin, yes. Jungkook's lips parted as he drew in a sharp breath, his eyes flicked to your lips, and his throat bobbed as he swallowed. He bit down on his lower lip, hesitating for just a moment before speaking again. Jungkook, I'm going to kiss you now. You gave a small nod, your heart pounding so loud you were sure he could hear it. He brought his hand up slowly, brushing his thumb against your lips to wipe away the faint tint of lip color. Jungkook, I want to feel your lips, just as they are, your noses brushed, and your breaths mingled. His eyes fluttered shut, and finally, his lips pressed against yours. The softness of his lips sent a wave of warmth through you, and you couldn't help but respond. His hand found its way to your not gripping but resting there, his thumb brushing lightly against your skin. A low, satisfied escaped his lips, and the sound sent a shiver down your spine. The kiss deepened, growing more urgent, his tongue brushed against your lips, seeking entrance, and you granted it without hesitation. Tangled, the into a heated battle for his grip on your waist tightened as he pressed his body against yours. Jungkook, you enjoyed that, didn't you, princess? You swallowed hard, your throat dry, unable to find the words. His lips curled into a smug smirk, his eyes dark and filled with mischief. Jungkook, no need to say it, I can see it all over your face. Your cheeks burned, and you finally managed to stammer out a response. Yin, this is wrong, we shouldn't. You wanted to say more, to explain why this couldn't happen, but deep down, you knew the truth. You loved him. You had tried to suppress it, to deny it, but your body and heart betrayed you. Without warning, Jungkook stepped forward, closing the small gap between you, and wrapped his arms around you. The warmth of his embrace made your body relax instinctively. His scent, a mix of woodsy cologne and something uniquely him, filled your senses. Jungkook, hug me, Yin. You hesitated, your hands still clutching the packet of pads tightly. He gently took it from you, setting it aside. Slowly, you raised your arms, wrapping them around his shoulders. Jungkook, tighter. You obeyed, tightening your hold. His arms locked around you, pulling you impossibly close, until there was no space left between you. Jungkook, can you feel my heartbeat? You nodded against his shoulder, the steady thumping of his heart loud and clear. Yin, it's really fast. He chuckled softly, his chest vibrating against yours. Jungkook, it always beats like this when you're around, I can't control it. His words sent a flutter through your chest, and you closed your eyes, savoring the moment. His hand gently stroked the back of your head, his touch soothing. Jungkook, I love you, princess. I've loved you for a while now, and I think you already knew that. His confession made your heart race. You pulled back slightly, just enough to meet his eyes. They were filled with sincerity and warmth. Your gaze flicked to his lips, now swollen and red from the kiss, and your heart skipped a beat. Yin, I thought you hated me, you whispered, your voice laced with vulnerability. Jungkook's eyes widened slightly, and then he let out a soft laugh. Jungkook, hate you? I'd rather die. A small smile tugged at your lips, and your hands rested on his chest. You could feel his heart beating beneath your palm, strong and steady. Gently, you traced your fingers over the fabric of his shirt. Yin, then, what are we now? Jungkook's cheeks flushed, a rare sight that made your heart flutter. He averted his gaze for a moment, then looked back at you with a shy smile. Jungkook, well, I've always imagined you as my wife someday, but we're still young. He paused, his smile growing softer. For now, let's just be together. Let me be your boyfriend. His words made your heart swell. You nodded slowly, the weight of his confession settling in. Yin, boyfriend, huh? You teased lightly, though your voice carried a hint of excitement. Jungkook grinned, his confidence returning. Jungkook, yeah, and I'll make sure you never regret it. You leaned in, resting your head against his chest once more. His arms tightened around you, and in that moment, everything felt right.